Hello, my friends, and welcome to this Thursday, December 4th edition of the Indoctrination. I am David Snedeker, and I will be your host for the next couple of hours. And I am looking forward to sharing some things with you tonight that are very, very interesting. And I think that it's going to be very, very clear to all of you what is going down here, and it's certainly very clear to me. Um, Peggy, hi Dave, Jasper, and Snedheads. Last night was awesome having Dave and Sir Oliver on a double duty home run. Thanks for all you do, Dave, and all the show monitors. Peggy from Visalia, California. Thank you, Peggy, for that. And yes, thank you to Sir Oliver for a great show and some great content, and also thank you to Quasi Pete and Moonbeam for just making this such a better place. Ravens Wings, don't forget to check those coats if anyone still has one. Folks, it's getting chilly up in the Midwest and the Northeast, and I think that is the understatement of the day. So imagine you're wearing your big heavy winter coat and you're coming in out of the cold. Sned shed full of Sned heads is nice and warm. So we're going to ask you to imagine all your indoctrination, your preconceived notions, your brainwashing, your ego all wrapped up in that big winter coat. And for anyone that's lived in inclement weather, you just take that off, check it at the coat check, grab a claim ticket that them there. It's safe. You're not going to need those coats for the next couple hours, and not going to have to make any major decisions, hopefully. And grab a snack, grab a drink, your favorite person, your favorite pet, your favorite you, and come on in. And let's download some really great info. Cheers, everybody. Horseface, love the podcasts with you and Sir Oliver. Thank you. You're very welcome. We're going to have him back soon. Thank you, Ravens Wings. I appreciate that. Whip and Spur was a great show. I fell asleep towards the end, still dragging my rump from traveling for a couple of weeks. Finished listening this morning. Thank you so much for that. 5 degrees here, negative 5 degrees here in Michigan tonight. Holy cow. Greetings, Dave, and Harry Thursday. Great Oliver reunion truthcast last night. Thank you both. Awesome. Kelly watching from New Hampshire. Where we go one, we go all. Kevin, good to see you, brother. How you doing, man? Gypsy sliding in sideways, hockey stop style, hanging my coat and my skates. I can picture that. That's pretty awesome. And just wanted to say hey to Jay Aqua for being first in the Sned Shed tonight. And GD Kramer, good evening, all Sneds and friends and family. Can't wait to be here at another live opportunity tonight. Blessings to all. Love you all. Thank you. Velma is in the house. Good to see you, Velma. Smoky Eye, Mach 1 Babe. Look up the artist Beeple. CNN and Instagram have a video with these dog robots he has on display with masks on them that look too real, of Zuck, Elon, Warhol, Bezos, and more. Okay, I'll check that out. Beeple. Got so much to cover with you tonight, my friends. GLB, hi Sneds, Moonbeams, welcoming everybody. Italia, JL Bear, you find out who your friends are. Suram, hello. Deb B, good to see you. Deborah, hi Moonbeam, hi everyone. Wendy, very good stuff, my friends. Very cool to see you all here. Hi Dave and all my wonderful friends. Sarah Dwen, Horseface, hi everyone. Spiritual Street Fighter has outdone herself yet again. Excuse me, let me get out of the way of this. This is really special. Game over Deep State, and it is really, really beautiful. I mean, look at that. and with the Q plus, and that's the thing, my friends. It is game over, and most people don't even realize that. But all you need to do is see what President Trump is doing and how strongly the deep state is fighting back. And when you realize that the people that are fighting back here are really truly uh, you know, just digging in and trying like hell to stop him from accomplishing what it is he's trying to accomplish. And he said he reposted. Let me share this with you. Some of the memes that I've shared with you of the Dilly meme team, have just been awesome. And he reposted Brendan Dilly, and he said we have to. And Brendan said we have two options: deport every single third world migrant, illegal alien, and America-hating visa holder, or surrender your nation the way the United Kingdom have and watch your society collapse in the coming years. I mean, that's pretty much, what President Trump is getting at, and that's what he's trying to accomplish. So great to see that, and great to see um, him also posting. Excuse me. Let me get a drink of water here. Jack Posobiec, Trump's policy isn't collective punishment. It is collective defense of the American people. The American leader's job is to defend his people at all costs. It's not to be politically correct. That's not his job. That's not what we elected him for. It is not to take care of the people that, aren't from this country. That's not what we elected him for. It is not to placate Congress and not ruffle any feathers. That is not what we elected him for. And it is very obvious to me of the people who want him to do things differently and want him to do things just like it's been done in for many, many decades, and to make sure that we aren't falling into that. He has, all you have to do if you want to know who your friends are, look at who their enemies are. And that is very, very telling, just to see how much his people that he's pointing out, that he's calling out, are how just absolutely defiant they are of everything that he's doing. And he's posted today at 7:25 a.m. I'm dealing with the poisoning of America. That's what he's dealing with, and he's trying to, unpoison it. And that is something that's very obvious to me, and very obvious to those who are paying attention. I also want to share a couple posts that he shared today of this pushback that he's getting about the Somali comment. Now, let's think about this a moment. When he talks about the Somalis being garbage, and he talks about the country of Somalia and how corrupt it is, and how it's a hellhole, and says all these things. Does it or does it not get people talking about how many Somalis are in Minnesota? How many? What kind of thing that they're doing to the country by being there? The corruption that exists there. And it's getting us all talking about something that we should have been talking about a long time ago. And while his verbiage may upset some people. What we're beginning to learn is that we should be less concerned about the rhetoric and more concerned about what's actually taking place. He shared this post of Rashida Tlaib, and let me share that with you.
Look at this rooms, motherfuckers. We ain't going anywhere. Political structures that I have to work in, that we all are surrounded by, was built on slavery and genocide and rape and oppression. Real change doesn't come from the cowards and warmongers in Congress. It comes from the streets. It comes from all of us mobilizing and seizing the power to resist and fight back. Gaza is the compass in this country. Now we're in Congress, and we're every corner of the United States.
Now, I showed that, I don't know, maybe a couple of weeks ago. I showed this video. But it's a whole nother thing when the president of the United States shares such a video and how many more people see it. And basically she's calling for the takedown. Many people think she's calling for the takedown of America by these Islam supporters. And this isn't the Islam that your that you might, maybe your neighbors, your friends, people that you meet in school. This is a radical people that want to change America into the very Sharia law and the very way of life that has destroyed and actually kept women down in many of these societies. In most of these societies, a woman like her would not be able to even get up and speak in front of a crowd. Let me share this little clip that President Trump shared with Stephen Miller on Jesse Waters.
What I'm thankful for this Thanksgiving, I praise God every day that Donald Trump is our president. And we've gone from 30% inflation, 20 million illegals, unlimited refugees, violent crime in our cities, to security in our cities, no more illegals, no more refugees, and finally a country that puts American citizens first.
Anything wrong with that? I mean, is there anything wrong with that? Or is it simply, a way that we should have been thinking for a long, long time? And President Trump also posted Matt Van Swal, who is saying, this isn't the streets of Mexico. This is my state, North Carolina. President Trump was absolutely right. We have been invaded. Anybody see any American flags there? The country that they live in, the country that they work in, the country that many of them are getting illegal benefits in by our tax money. And they're actually, they're very, very much trying to turn our country and not respect our culture, but actually demean our culture. Let me show you his post on Truth 2 hours ago. Geiger Capital that he reposted. And he said, a century ago, Geiger Capital says this, President Calvin Coolidge signed into law the Immigration Act of 1924. He stated plainly, new arrivals should be limited to our own capacity to absorb them. America must be kept American. This is back in 1924. For this purpose, it is now necessary to enact a policy of restricted immigration. The 1924 Act passed the House and Senate with overwhelming support. Democrats and Republicans agreed. The bill introduced tight immigration quotas, new visa requirements, the Border Patrol, and outright banned immigrants from certain countries that we viewed as incompatible with our culture. You know, the culture built on Christianity and God. God-loving, God-fearing men are the ones that put the Constitution, put the Confederate Papers together. This is all very, very much, documented that we were built and by people that wanted to escape England and also have the freedom of worship. But everyone should have the freedom of worship. But many of these countries that these people are coming from, they don't give you that freedom of worship. So it dramatically reduced the number of people coming into the country and provided an opportunity for the recent great wave of immigrants to assimilate. By the 1940s and 50s, American society thrived with a booming economy, spelled that wrong, rising middle class, common culture, and limited immigration. The act was in place until 1965. Since then, we have experienced decades of historic immigration, both legal and illegal. Today, we have higher levels of foreign-born than the early 1900s by both raw number and percentage of population. This mass immigration has also included vastly different cultures than the mostly Europeans we accepted then. It's obvious that we once again need to make a national policy shift, and it should be bipartisan. It's time for another immigration act. I mean, this is so clear. Well, there wasn't a funnel back then. There was just all these people that not only were allowed into our country, but that were paid to be in our country, were promised EBT cards, were promised housing, just to get their vote. And it's never been more clear that they're even fighting President Trump, fighting all the ICE. They're trying to dox the ICE workers. They're trying to, not work with ICE, not work with the federal government, and trying to get the illegal migrants. That again, this was an insurrection. This was not organic. Like people just come into our country because they want a better life. This was not organic at all. And we now know that, and we see the people that are just simply, fighting President Trump on every single thing, that we are seeing it in real time. We're seeing it in real time that these people want to block, the departure of the people that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris brought in, and whoever was running the show, Biden, right? And so this is, and he reposts this as well. This is pretty important. I mean, very important. Edward Hamilton, absolutely bonkers story about Somalian immigrant communities in Minnesota overdiagnosing their own kids with autism so that they can funnel billions of Medicaid dollars back to terrorist cells in Somalia. In the press release announcing the indictment, the U.S. Attorney's Office made clear that the alleged autism fraud scheme extended to a wide network of people to drive up enrollment. Hassan and her partners paid monthly cash kickback payments to the parents of children who enrolled. The release reads, these kickback payments ranged from approximately $300 to $1,500 per month per child. The amount of these payments was contingent on the services DHS authorized a child to receive. The higher the authorization amount, the higher the kickback. Often parents threatened to leave and take their children to other autism centers if they did not get paid higher kickbacks. Much like with the HSS program, autism claims to Medicaid in Minnesota have skyrocketed in recent years from 3 million in 2018 to 54 million in 2019. 77 million in 2020, 183 in 21, 279 in 22, and 399 million in 2023. Meantime, the number of autism providers in the state spiked from 41 to 328 over the same period, with many in the Somali community establishing their own autism treatment centers, citing the need for culturally appropriate programming. By the time the fraud scheme was exposed, 1 in 16 Somali 4-year-olds in the state had reportedly been diagnosed with autism, a rate more than triple the state average. All right. And it's simply fraud that these people are committing. And so even if they are over here on visas, or they're over here on green cards, or they've become citizens, if they're found guilty of this fraud, that this is going to be really easy to get them out of the country. And the only reason we're all talking about this is because of the way that President Trump spoke about Somalians and Ilhan Omar. Now, it's very clear to me why he's doing what he's doing. He's doing what he's doing because he knows that it will get people talking and get them talking in a very productive way. Okay. So, so this is really big. What's going on here. So they're pushing that back quite a bit. Let me take you to some positive stuff. This is President Trump and the First Lady with the doing the White House Christmas tree. And let me play this for you. Here we go. Hold on. I just lost something there. There we go. Here we go.
So is everybody ready to light the beautiful Christmas tree? Are you ready? So the First Lady is going to do the honors, and we're going to do a countdown. We'll go from 5 to 0, okay? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Come on, honey. So is everybody ready to light the beautiful?
So I want to ask you all, I'd love to see your feedback in the chat. You saw that video, yes? I want to make sure you all saw it. Marie said she couldn't see it. George, I wish I had faith that people will be held responsible. Well, George, I got to say this. It's very understandable if you don't have faith that these people are going to be held responsible, because if history proves anything, they will not. And so I'm with you. Like, I get it. I'm not with you, but I get it. The reason why I have faith that these people are going to be held responsible is because we're awake now. Even in Trump's first term, there were millions that have awakened since then in this country alone. Millions. And we've got Twitter. We've got X. Like, that is being, like, these people that are posting on X, like Ilhan is posting videos, and Everyone's now, all the mainstream media is posting about how the Somali community is good for Minnesota. That's becoming very, very clear. So based on history, yeah, you're right to not believe. But we have Q that has told us so much of this, and we have an awake society, a much more awake. And I know we've all got people that are still, fast asleep, but we have a much more awake society. And once you wake people up, there's no going back. And we have X, we have truth, we have Snedheads. Okay. If you're tired of seeing all this negative stuff, get on over to Snedheads and you'll be delighted with what you see over there. But yeah, history, if history is any indication, there's not going to be justice. But we're in a very different place in a very different time. And we have Q plus with President Trump that's been confirmed multiple times that he is, Q plus. If only the 45 reposts of Spiritual Street Fighters artwork that we have here, where let me remove that. He's reposted this kind of stuff where he's Q plus, where it says Q plus, and Spiritual Street Fighter is all Q in her bio. So we know that President Trump and we know that Q are aligned, and we've been told about so much of this a long, long time ago, and people are digging like crazy. So I'm really, really feeling good. Okay. So, no, I love you, bro. It's all good, man. Listen, I want you guys to be honest. Listen, and you're justified in thinking that way, but I just want to say we're at a very different place, right? So how did Letitia James get off? Well, this is a great question. And it also goes back to what George was just saying. The reason that Letitia James and James Comey got off, they didn't get off. They exposed the judicial system. And I got to tell you, I listened to NPR today, and you know how much I love to listen to NPR. Oh, and I tell you, they had a former federal judge on by the name of Wolf out of Boston. And it was this interview, and I'm telling you, I've got most of it recorded, but the beginning of it I didn't record, but it was so anti-Trump. And it was so, like, one of the criticisms he had as a judge, and he stepped down from the bench so that he could speak out against President Trump. And he talked about the pardons that Trump is giving out, and he criticized those. And the question, she finally said, now listen, I'm going to push back a little bit on questions that Trump supporters might have. And she said, you might have some criticism, what do you say about some of the previous pardons? Like, for example, Bill Clinton. And I'm like, Bill Clinton? You're skipping over a few. And he said, yeah, Bill Clinton, got Mark Rich off because Mark Rich donated a bunch of money to the Clinton Foundation. And they talked about that. And they didn't talk about Joe Biden at all. Joe Biden had more pardons than anybody. And he didn't even sign those pardons. They were signed by the auto pen. And it was just so absolutely, if you're listening to NPR, you would think that Donald Trump was the devil. And that's what they're there for. That is their job. But the problem is that their rhetoric is becoming so thin. It's becoming paper thin. I've talked to you about the trajectory that I see. I don't focus on where we are right now, division across the United States, problems with ICE, problems with the Venezuela boats, problems with, Russia, Ukraine, problems in Israel and Gaza. I don't necessarily focus on what's happening now. I focus on the trajectory. Listen, I'm looking at our shot, and in a basketball analogy, imagine that, me with a basketball analogy. And I see our shot, and I can tell it's going in because I can see the direction, I can see the distance, and I know that shot's going in. That's the trajectory. So I want to ask you all, do you think that with what's going on right now, that we are on a good trajectory towards justice, getting our country back, getting our the whiteness back and stop feeling guilty about it? No more men and women's sports. The abortion thing, no matter where you stand on the abortion, argument, the law states, the 10th Amendment states, if it's not explicitly mentioned in the Constitution, it must revert to the states. That's all they did, was they handed over control to the states. That is the proper legal decision. Whether you're pro-life, pro-abortion, that is the proper legal decision. And when you understand, like I had somebody say, well, that was kind of, Trump getting in those justices and getting that vote. So really what I want from you guys is do you like the trajectory that we're on? Do you feel good about it? And he said, that was kind of manipulated because Trump got in these Supreme Court justices that were very conservative that were going to vote to ban abortion. Abortion was not banned. It was sent back to the states where it belongs. Now, and I said to him, but are you aware of the manipulation and the brainwashing that took place to get the Supreme Court to side with Roe v. Wade on the issue of making abortion a right? The woman, Roe, she was paid money to lie about that situation. I don't want to get into the details of it because we'll get bogged down in it. But that's come out now. And we also see who's behind Planned Parenthood. Margaret Sanger, who is a racist and a eugenicist. Bill Gates Sr., Bill Gates' father, funded Planned Parenthood. And now we know, we can see all the absolute devastation it has caused, and the amount of children and humans that are no longer alive today because how they push that. Okay, so let me see what you guys are saying. I want to put up. Actually, let me do this. Let me put your comments up here. George says, I'm cautiously optimistic. I just don't want the WF to take over, and I'd like to be able to afford to live. That's all coming. The affordability is coming. Trump talked about that yesterday, the affordability, and how the Democrats talk about it, but they don't have a solution. Trump has the tariffs that are going to lower the prices of things here in the United States and bring manufacturing and many, many jobs back. Yeah, the NPR is so biased. They're like CNN on the radio, almost worse, right? Yeah, National Propaganda Review, pure garbage, without question, Bo Hunter. Mark Rich was a POS. Yeah. My bullshit-o-meter goes off quite easily these days. Hello, all. Buck Fiden, John Doskis. I'd rather have an enema than listen to NPR. I tell you, folks, listen, I jumped on a grenade for you today. I did. I was listening to it, and I was just like, oh, my God, I can't believe I'm listening to this. Donna, yes, you feel good about things. Half-truths, no, not with biohacking humans, no. biohacking started with COVID. You know that half truths, yeah. Um, and I'm with you on that. And I believe that, you know, we are headed for more freedom, not less freedom, by a long shot. John Doski's, yes, for sure we are. Good. Serum, yes, the right direction. Everything has to be exposed before the arrests begin. I can see it coming. Yep. Yep. Cat Mother B, yep. Yep. Will Trump ever go max and leave the pro-Israel cause and quit with the MAGA? Well, Jonah, I've been saying this for a very long time. If you take the two top tools that the Khazarians use to control humanity, one is media, two is the central banks. So they control our minds and they control our money. What has Trump done with those two things? What's he done with the fake news? He's destroyed it. What's he done with the central banks? He's getting rid of the IRS. He's getting less money flowing into the Fed, and he's going to replace Powell, and he's going to take over the Fed, and I believe get us out of debt slavery. Yes, Karen Durst, yes. Cat Mother B. Yeah, abortion is sacrifices to the dark. Yep, absolutely. I mean, even the Planned Parenthood building is a pyramid, like the old pyramids where they used to have, human sacrifice. Yeah, before Trump leaves office, we will have back our country without question, I think, Kevin. Let's see. Let's see. Moonbeam, I've never felt better about the U.S. because we're getting back to the original Constitution. Absolutely. Yeah. Q drops say not all will be prosecuted. We'll be here. We would be here for the next 30 years if all were going to be prosecuted. I do believe that we're going to get it back. The tariffs are already working. We're already getting money. You don't even have to pray. It's already working. We're, unprecedented investment into the United States. Unprecedented. Let's see. I'm at the point where I believe everything and nothing at the same time. That I don't quite know what to say about that. I do trust Trump. I believe he will bring down the giant. Margaret S., founder of PPH, wanted to genocide blacks. Yeah, absolutely. Jan says yes. Dave, I have faith in the way you're going forward. Thank you, Whip and Spur. Yes, well, here's the thing, and I've never wavered. You guys know this. I've never wavered from Q. I've never wavered from Trump. And it's because of Q. And it's because of what Q shared with us and how much information that we have thanks to Q. Let's see. They never thought she would lose. Absolutely. Thanks for stepping on the grenade, Dave. Thanks, Jen. I appreciate that. I'm worried about Canada. I don't see things changing here in Canada. Canada needs Trump. Canada's going to go the way of the United States. But you're going to see it get worse before it gets better. We need to undo what Obama did to the Smith-Munn Act, back to it being illegal for any public servant to lie. Now, I've said this, Ravens Wings. I think you've heard me say this, that I believe that the reason why Johnson didn't approach the Smith-Munn Act is because the white hats are using this to take back our country. They're using this kind of propaganda, and they're allowing this negative propaganda to come from the Dems to show the sheer lunacy that's happening. Yeah, Mike, if you read the newspaper, you're uninformed. If you don't read it, you're uninformed. If you do read it, you're misinformed. Absolutely. Who said that? Was that Churchill? Who said that? Yeah, deals have been made. Yeah. Do you guys have Emerge in your states? Patriot Audrey, what is that? Cat Mother B, yes, it's happening. Trump mentioned dividends again. Yep. Yeah. Praying for sooner. It's gotta come. Here's the thing. We can't decide the time, right? Let's see. Thank you, George. No, sir, you're having. I give you credit for not wavering, I'm guessing. Yeah. Never have wavered. Thank you. Yeah. When I first heard of Q, I knew it was real and the only way forward. Yeah. It was so clear to me, right? It was just like, wow, okay, wait a minute. Something is here. There's something of substance here. And it just got more substantive. And yeah, so yeah, it's really happening. Yes. Trillium, good to see you. Good to see you. Andrew, hello. Dave and Sneds, good to see you, my friend. Stronger together makes sense. Mark Twain said that. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. God wins. Yeah. And white hats are teaching the American population a civics lesson and lab in real time. Yeah, we're in the lab right now, basically. I like that analogy. We are in the lab. Farhad, good to see you, my friend. We're kind of lab rats, right? Yeah, it's very interesting how it's the experiment, right? We're going through this experiment. And Q said, you can't tell people the truth. You must show them. And that's what the show is all about, right? Yeah, there has to be a plan. A lot happening now. Yeah, Jen, if there wasn't a plan, we wouldn't see the sheer fire hose of information that's coming around. Yeah, so thank you for that. So, by the way, folks, we are going to be hold on, let me pull it up here. Where do I have that? Here we go. We are going to be spinning the wheel tonight, and I want you to be a part of it because I think this is going to be the last. I know I said this last time, but after tonight, Moonbeam, we need to change the get your name on the wheel for membership to Snedheads and a t-shirt. Probably going to do a sweatshirt. I'm going to put the sweatshirts up tomorrow, which is going to be the IndoctriNATION sweatshirts, hoodies that many of you love. Anybody have a IndoctriNATION hoodie? I had mine on yesterday. They're so damn comfortable. And but we're going to spin the wheel, and that looks like this right now. And right now we have Christopher Hunt, Edward Quinn, Janet Sayer, Cynthia Letourneau, Catherine Reeves, Gail Maserati, DGM Unlimited, Deborah Martin, Steve Fothergill, Heather Willard, CR Partners, Michael Janis, Catherine Drexler, DOT Truck Sales, Karen Billick, Julie Fackler, Patsy Abbott, I'm sorry, Linda Prasnick, Helen Overton, Phil Dans, Lisa Reyes, John Valance Jr., Jacqueline Blutard, Williamson Painting, Jessica and Thomas Green, Deanna Harriet, Charles Driscoll, Mary Bradley, and Bridget Graham. So please get your name on the wheel so that we have this spin tonight, and let's fill it up even more. And I'm looking forward to doing that at the end of the show tonight. And that'll be a lot of fun for a free membership to snedheads.com and a t-shirt. Now, I also want to say to you, Snedheads is, if you haven't been on Snedheads, I'm telling you, folks, please get over there. It's absolutely fabulous. And you don't have to put up with a lot of bullshit. You don't have to put up with a lot of just sheer propaganda. We're not going to have any of that. It's free to join. If you want to support this platform and be able to post and share and do all that, it's $17 a month. And I'm telling you, everyone that is a part of this platform is going to share ownership in 25% of the revenue, of the gross revenue of this platform. This is going to be owned by you, not by me, not by Zuckerberg, not by Musk. There's no other platform that gives you ownership of the revenue. And I'm doing that. So the more you share, the more you post, the more you get involved. And we're going to be switching the name from Snedheads was to kind of gather up our group. We're going to have our own page, but I'm changing the name to the Rubicon with a Q. And for anybody that knows the story of the Rubicon was the river in northern Italy that any commanding general of the armed forces of Rome could not cross the Rubicon and come into the very country for which they were expanding their empire for, until Julius Caesar crossed the Rubicon with his army, met with some of the senators, and knew because he crossed the Rubicon, there was no turning back. And once he crossed, everything changed, and he went into Rome as an emperor and got rid of the sheer corruption that was permeating Rome at the time. So the Rubicon with a Q is going to be the new platform. Once you cross, everything changes, and everybody that's a paid member is going to be able to share in the revenue. If you're an unpaid member, if you're here on free, you're going to be able to share it and gain a percentage of the revenue as well. So not as much as the paid members are going to be able to, but you'll still be able to share in the profits of the Rubicon. So that is the first time I've officially announced that. I'm putting it all together. We're also going to have an investment group. People that want to invest in the Rubicon are going to be able to get a position that's very, very satisfactory to their investment return. And so we're going to grow this, and then we're going to grow it big because everyone that gets involved is going to own it. So I want to take you to Heather Willard's post from President Trump. It's about time. Now, President Trump has been, mentioning he's a few times he's talked about Tina Peters, but this was his post, and it was yesterday at 7:07 p.m. The sleazebag governor of Colorado, Jared Polis, refuses to allow an elderly woman, Tina Peters, who was unfairly convicted of what the Democrats do, cheating on elections, out of jail. She was convicted for trying to stop Democrats from stealing Colorado votes in the election. She was preserving election records, which she was obligated to do under federal law. She has now served more than 1 year in jail and has 8 years to go. On top of everything else, she is a cancer survivor. This lightweight governor who has allowed his state to go to hell, Tren de Aragua, anyone? Remember when they took over those apartment complexes? Should be ashamed of himself. Free Tina. Awesome post, Heather. Thank you very much for that. And I'm going to now take you to something that came out, and this is very, very significant regarding Venezuela. See, I've told you that Venezuela and what they're doing is far more important than the drug trade. The blowing up the boats, that is sending a message. And by the way, the Democrats are trying to stop that. Why? Did the Democrats try to stop Obama from bombing the shit out of Syria with drone strikes? Did the Democrats try to stop the war in Ukraine? they don't care about war. They don't care about people dying in boats. What they're trying to stop is the exposure of Venezuela's role and the CIA's role in the United States of our elections. Okay? This is really, really important that we understand that this is much bigger than just the drug boats. Okay, this is a post by Cag Drago on X, and I want to play this for you. This was Lou Dunn back in 2006. 2006. Here we go.
A firm owned by Venezuela could be allowed to take over one of this country's top voting machine firms. Venezuela, of course, led by Hugo Chavez, working to change the views of most South American countries, move to the left. Critics of the deal say our nation's very democracy is now for sale without anyone doing a thing about it. Kitty Pilgrim reports.
The use of some 19,000 electronic voting machines in the city of Chicago and Cook County primary on March 21st of this year is now under intense scrutiny. The U.S. company that makes the machines, Sequoia, was bought in 2005 by Smartmatic, a private company primarily owned by Venezuelan businessmen. When Chicago had problems with the machines, a dozen Venezuelan employees were there to help with the election. Chicago officials are outraged.
I think that American elections ought to be run by American companies and ought to be run by American citizens, not Venezuelan nationals.
Smartmatic is technically based in Boca Raton, Florida, but the president of the company, Jack Blaine, testified to the Chicago City Council. Fewer than a dozen Smartmatic employees work in Florida. The majority of the workers are based in Venezuela. Watchdog groups question why U.S. voting machines would be under the control of citizens of another country, especially a country whose own election process is highly suspect.
We believe this is a national security issue. There is no way that companies belonging to non-U.S. corporations should have access to our elections.
The Treasury Department is supposed to monitor sales of U.S. companies to overseas investors where there is a question of national security, such as in the Dubai ports deal, the so-called CFIUS review process. Some in Congress are demanding an investigation.
In the case of Smartmatic, there are a number of unanswered questions. That's why I wrote to the Secretary of the Treasury and asked them to review the ownership. It's offshore, it's murky, no one seems to know who owns it. Certainly our government should know.
A potential risk to the democratic process. Now, we called the Treasury Department to ask if the sale of Sequoia in 2005 had been reviewed or not. Treasury told us they were aware of the sale, but can't confirm if it's been reviewed or not. And some in Congress and voter watchdog groups also are demanding a better answer than that, Lou.
Well, this Treasury Department is filled with incompetence. They have stopped in over 1,500 reviews, only one sale to foreign owners' American assets. But a voting machine company, critical to this country's election count, and they can't tell you whether or not the Committee on Foreign Investment in the United States reviewed it or not?
They have no answer for us. And
these are the most arrogant, incompetent, bureaucratic idiots. I mean, the Treasury Department is trying to move ahead of a number of other departments in that category.
It's incomprehensible that this would be in any way
Have we put a call into, I know John Snow's on a short tenure and shortly on tenure, but perhaps somebody who works for him would have some basic sense that he owes the American people an answer?
Lou, we have been trying to get the officials. They said they thought it was this company. So there are a lot of people in murky territory right here, and I think it really does deserve some examination.
Great. It certainly does. We're going to continue to do so. I think we need to tip our hat to the Congresswoman. She did a marvelous job in looking into this, and hats off to her. At least somebody is trying to make some sense. This administration, call the White House. Let's find out the answer so this audience knows exactly what's going on by Monday evening. And this is ridiculous.
We are looking into it actively, Lou.
Thank you, Kitty.
That was 2006. Now, hold on a second. This was 2020. Remember Sidney Powell?
I can hardly wait to put forth all the evidence we have collected on Dominion, starting with the fact it was created to produce altered voting results in Venezuela for Hugo Chavez, and then shipped internationally to manipulate votes for purchase in other countries, including this one. It was funded by money from Venezuela and Cuba, and China has a role in it also. We have staggering statistical evidence. We have staggering testimony from witnesses, including one who was personally in briefings when all of this was discussed and planned, beginning with Hugo Chavez and how it was designed there, and then saw it happening in this country. As soon as the state shut down on election night and stopped counting, those are the states where the most egregious problems occurred. We also need to look at, and we're beginning to collect evidence on the financial interests of some of the governors and secretaries of state who actually bought into the Dominion systems to line their own pockets by getting a voting machine in that would either make sure their election was successful or they got money for their family from it. Well, for fraud this serious, I think even if the states are stupid enough to go ahead and certify the votes where we know the machines were operating and producing altered election results, then they will be set aside by the fraud also. I mean, we are talking about hundreds of thousands of votes. President Trump won this election in a landslide.
Yeah, and we know that. So let me take you to the following. This Venezuelan military intelligence, this is from the SCIF on X. I highly recommend you follow at the SCIF. Venezuelan military intelligence whistleblower just exposed that the CIA allegedly outsources its election rigging software and voting machines, Smartmatic, to multiple countries, including the U.S. from Venezuela. This is what multiple sources have been telling you for years. This is nothing new to anyone paying attention now. Now it's just verified by an inside source. Do you really believe everything happening in around Venezuela is just about drug trafficking and a country's resources like oil? Remember, there are layers to everything. And how long have I been telling you that? If we do not solidify and fix our elections, there's no point in anything we do because we will lose anyway. Now you understand there's more to this than meets the eye. And it starts out, my name is Hugo Carvajal Barrios. For many years, I was a high-ranking member of the Venezuelan regime. This was released by the Dallas Express, by the way. Smartmatic was born as an electoral tool of the Venezuelan regime. It was born as an electoral tool. I know this because I placed the head of IT of the National Electoral Conference in this position, and he reported directly to me. The Smartmatic system can be altered. This is a fact. This technology was later exported abroad, including to the United States. Regime operatives maintain relationships with election officials and voting machine companies inside your country. Please read the documents below in full. Now, this is really good. Like the narco-terrorism, Tren de Aragua, counterterrorism and espionage against the United States, Smartmatic, and your elections. And Tren de Aragua, he flat out said, I was present when decisions were made to organize and weaponize criminal gangs across Venezuela to protect the regime. What has Q said about MS-13? That they were used to assassinate people, to keep the narrative and to keep in control of the country. Chavez ordered the recruitment of criminal leaders inside and outside prisons to defend the revolution in exchange for impunity. After Chavez died, Maduro expanded this strategy by exporting criminality and chaos abroad to target Venezuelan political exiles, and artificially reduce crime statistics within Venezuela. Gang leaders were instructed to send thousands of members out of the country. This was coordinated through the Minister of Interior, the Ministry of Prisons, the National Guard, and National Police Forces. Tren de Aragua became the most effective and fastest growing. When the Biden-Harris open border policy became widely known, they seized the opportunity to send these operatives into the United States. We had Sir Oliver translate what Maduro was saying last night on the show, and also that he didn't trust that Maduro didn't send gangs into our country, and this clarifies that. They now have obedient armed personnel on American soil. To finance their operations, they were explicitly instructed to continue kidnapping, extorting, and killing. Every crime they commit on your soil is an act ordered by the regime. Okay? Let me take you to a breakdown of this by Grok. It was dated 2 days ago, 2025, published by the Dallas Express, written by Hugo Carvajal Barrios, a former Venezuelan intelligence chief under Chavez and Maduro. It warns about threats from the Maduro regime, drawing on his insider knowledge. Narco-terrorism. Maduro regime officials, including Nicolas Maduro, Cabello, and others, run drug trafficking operations against the U.S. via new routes through cities, evading Venezuela police corruption. This plan, suggested by the Cuban regime to Chavez in the mid-2000s, receives support from Cuban weapons, revolutionary armed forces, ELN guerrillas, and impunity to operate freely from Venezuela. Tren de Aragua organized and weaponized criminal gang to protect the regime from threats, including the Chavez Revolution exchange of prisoners. After Chavez's death, Maduro used it to exile political opponents and artificially reduce crime statistics in Venezuela, targeting Venezuelan gang leaders. Counterintelligence and espionage against the United States. You know, Trump's been saying they emptied out their prisons, they emptied out their mental institutions, and sent these people into our country. These are the people that ICE is getting out of our country, and they are pushing back every chance they get, even though it's cleaning up our cities like DC and Memphis. Tapping the subsea Russian internet cables connecting most of South American governments and U.S. Caribbean islands for intelligence purposes. In 2015, warned Maduro about allowing Russian intelligence to build and run a secret listening post on Orquila Island one day from American shores. He ignored it. For 20 years, the Venezuelan regime has spied on the U.S., with many networks still active. Involves naval bases on the East Coast. Cuban intelligence sent thousands of spies over decades, and U.S. career politicians as paid spies for Cuba, Venezuela, and Maduro. That's all coming out. I believe it. They already found it. Q says we have everything. We have it all. And also, Doge went in and found out where all the money was coming and going to. Smartmatic and election interference. Maduro regime uses Smartmatic voting technology stolen and placed directly in its hands to rig elections. This system is used in the U.S. and has relationships with U.S. election officials and voting machine companies. Imagine you want to sell drugs to the United States. Isn't it good to have somebody at the top who wants that to happen and who you've paid and compromised along the way? Relationships are rigged with the software, which has been stolen and used to interfere with U.S. elections with certainty. This isn't like speculation. This isn't like, hey, I think Venezuela is rigging our elections. No, we know for a fact they are, and people inside are starting to say that. Relationships are rigged with the software, which has been stolen and used to interfere with the U.S. elections with certainty. Sorry, I read that already. Closing appeals and broader warnings calls on U.S. people to recognize the threat of allowing narco-terrorism to harm Caribbean people through anti-financing of Latin American organizations and enemies within U.S. and operations. The regime is not merely hostile. It attacks with drugs, gangs, policies against Maduro democratic regime that are not prosecuted. President Trump's preparations to counter this threat are based on truth. Offers to provide additional self-defense support based on Trump's policy, reminds Venezuela needs the U.S. government help on these matters for details. Okay. And then you can also explain Smartmatic election interference. And those results, 36 results, right? Venezuela comes up first. Some conspiracy theories, facts debunking these claims. Not, this is the woke grok. And the Philippines 2016 elections, US DOJ indicted Smartmatic executives, including Piñate, in 24-25 for $1 million bribery scheme under the Foreign Corruption Practices Act. They allegedly over-invoiced machines to create a Philippine pot slush fund, bribing election officials for contracts. Smartmatic denies voter fraud involvement and was banned from the 2025 Philippine bids. A separate 2016 hack not tied to Smartmatic exposed voter data. So this is what President Trump is really going after. And this is what's being released, what's being absolutely exposed, is that President Trump is going to be quite vindicated by the fact that that he is, doing what he's doing to these boats that are crossing over. So let me take you to this. I shared with you the other day that Russia banned. What was the other social media account that Russia banned? And then they banned Snapchat as well. Guys, do you remember what the other one that Russia banned? Oh, Roblox, the children's game, online children's game. They banned that because there were adults in there that were grooming children, and that they were pedophiles. And now they're doing the same thing with Snapchat. So Russia is kind of setting a precedent, I believe, because what Russia is going to do is they're going to prove why they are doing what they're doing. And that is going to bring a lot of light onto the social media platforms that are just no good. And they're stealing your information. They're tracking you. They're monitoring you. And now with AI, folks, we can't have that. And that's one of the main reasons I created Snedheads. The other reason is because, I've been kicked off 28 platforms, and I'm tired of being, pushed around. So please go over. We need to start really putting our money towards things that are about our freedom and our own wealth rather than somebody else's wealth. And I also wanted to share Il Donaldo Trumpo shared the Babylon Bee. The Minnesota Vikings changed name to Minnesota Somali Pirates. And that's dead on, folks. That's dead on. I mean, it's exactly what is happening, and it is tragic. It is sad, but it is absolutely, hold on. Privacy is freedom, folks. Privacy is freedom, and they're taking away all of our privacy. Okay, and that we just can't. And we're coming into election situation where Polymarket is saying that that the Democrats have an 80% chance that they take the House. We can't have that. I mean, as it stands now, I mean, the House is right now, they're trying to stop Trump from being able to carry out attacks on these Venezuelan drug boats. And by the way, think about all the money that President Trump is stopping. He's cutting the purse strings by blowing up these boats. He's cutting the purse strings that the Maduro regime uses to, do what they're doing, and he's taken that all away, and that's a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful thing. This was interesting too, because Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum says she fully supports Venezuela and rejects any U.S. military intervention in Venezuela. She said, "We support Venezuela in the face of U.S. aggression." Folks, why do you think she's doing that? Why do you think the president of Mexico is butting in? And by the way, Europe is trying to do that too. Why? Because of the election interference that is going to be exposed, that is already being exposed. But why do you suppose the Mexican President Sheinbaum is doing this? Well, Matt Gaetz says she knows her Mexico cartel bosses are next. See, President Trump already declared war on the cartels. And so that means he's going to stop these cartels from going any farther and gaining any more strength than they already did. And here's a story of back to the Somalis. Here's a story of a Somali man, city councilor-elect and school board member in Maine, who was just indicted for allegedly stealing guns, is listed as white. So one of the things we're seeing that is, definitely become commonplace is that Black, Mexican, whatever the race, are being listed as white men, which is completely skewing the the narrative around crime in America. Completely illegal. And this, remember what I told you about these states and these cities that don't want federal involvement and cooperation in eliminating their crime, is because of what they're going to find. When President Trump went into D.C. to, cheers, with the National Guard to clean up D.C., they found that the crime statistics had been fudged to make it look better than it was. We haven't heard any reports out of Memphis, but I think we might find the same thing there. And that's why they don't want us in Chicago. They don't want us in LA. They don't want us in San Francisco, because of all the crimes that are, being, affected through such methods. This was Open Justice. Going to go over to UK here for a moment. Okay. So the full transcripts of these trials, okay, that you can read here at transcripts.openjusticeuk.org. I'm sharing that on my timeline right now. Today, we're releasing the first tranche of the redacted grooming gang sentencing remarks, 5 of them from Rotterdam, dating back to 2016. Rapes recorded: 2,000, England and Wales, 8,593, Germany, 8,000, France, 7,000, Poland, 2,000. 2024, England and Wales, 68,000. What has changed in those 4 years? The very thing that's happening to our country. Germany went up from 8,000 to 39,000. France went from 7,500 to 42,000. This is per year. Poland didn't let anybody, any refugees, so to speak, into their country. They went from 2,399 down to 1,127. Unbelievable. Okay. These transcripts are, I mean, just, you know, this is one trial, the Bradford trial. You can read all this. Fiona Bradford, it's downloading, but it's, you know, it's orchestrated. It's not like a guy walking around saying, and by the way, Elon reposted this. 1.3 million have seen it from his post, right? And yeah, so this is now the actual transcripts showing that this was their intention. Okay. So yeah. So let me share this with you. Michael Jordan, I'm a big fan. He's the latest to walk away from the Democrat Party. He said, "I tried to stick it out." He told reporters, "I just can't do it anymore." Jordan cites the moral bankruptcy of Democrats in their unwillingness to work on anything besides obstructing the president. Jordan said, like him or not, he has to be able to do his job. Now, readers say that Jordan did not say this. There's no credible source to this. And I did not see that when I first pulled that up. That has come through recently. Now, he has stayed apolitical because he's selling shoes to Democrats and Republicans. So I was surprised to see this, but I'm glad that this has been corrected. So never mind. But it's good that Grok has this. Okay. And they can't find any anything here. Toneman lives DC in its swamp. Do you think it's a coincidence all of a sudden we are hearing all of these politicians, especially the Dems, suddenly defaulting on their payments? Jasmine Crockett unable to make a $3,000 payment for her luxury condo, where it shows they put a lien against her for failing to pay $3,047 to the West Side Condominium Association. Maxine Waters failing to pay her taxes on her residence in California for over $20,000. Dems money, well, is drying up. Donor money is no longer pouring in. The Democrat Party is in debt. So what changed? USAID was shut down. Their money tree. They had so much money allocated to scam bullshit programs, which directly went to them. They had shell companies funneling directly to them. Now the well is dry. No more ill-gotten gains flowing in for these career corrupt politicians who live their lavish lifestyles, as well as paying off those in high places for personal gain. Trump has flushed the entire Democrat Party, as well as their rhino friends, from the background to the forefront. Everything we are witnessing today is a direct result of Trump, with the enormous help from Elon exposing all the fraud and shutting it down. That has left all the rats scurrying, looking for a way anyway to dethrone Trump and his entire administration. This coup we are all witnessing behind the scenes is a frantic last chance effort to take this man down. This week's target is Pete Hegseth. They want nothing more than to remove the Trump loyalist and replace him with this scumbag, Dan Driscoll, all in an effort to take the military under their control and have them remove Trump forever. They threatened to imprison Tulsi Gabbard for what? Exposing them all? No, this is something different. The deep state, in a coordinated manner, looking to take back control. This is the corrupt leftovers and those they turned trying to organize and take over the government. This seditious 6 video is part of the plan. Whose fingerprints are all over this? Jake Deep State Sullivan himself. Look no further than the crew he hangs out with. We're talking the same people Trump is going after. So they're trying to, I'm going to share that on my timeline as well. That's Toneman Lives, who follows me. I follow him. I recommend following. And this is a great post. I didn't finish the whole thing, but you get the message of that. Yeah, my friends, this is unbelievable. Because what we're seeing is a cornered rat. I mean, they are getting fierce and ferocious. Whether it's a white hat script or a black hat, doesn't matter. It has the same effect, and that is showing the desperation that they are under in trying to salvage their lives. All right. This is a post from Sir Oliver of RFK Jr. Let me take you to that.
Hi, I'm Robert F. Kennedy Jr., your HHS Secretary. Today, I'm announcing decisive steps that HHS is taking to defend something that is absolutely fundamental in this country: a parent's right to guide their child's health decisions. That right is not optional. It's not negotiable. And under the Trump administration, it will not be ignored. HHS has launched an investigation into a troubling incident in the Midwest. A school administered a federally funded vaccine to a child without the parent's consent and despite a legally recognized state exemption. When any institution, a school, a doctor's office, a clinic, disregards a religious exemption, it doesn't just break trust, it also breaks the law. It fractures the sacred bond between families and the people entrusted with their child's care, and we're not going to tolerate it. The Health Resources and Services Administration is sending a letter to HRSA-supported health center grant recipients, underscoring a simple fact: federal funding requires compliance with federal and state laws that protect parental rights. Parents have another right that every American should know about, and that's the right of access to their children's health records. HIPAA establishes that right of access. If you have the legal authority to make decisions for your child, then you should have the right to see their records. No delays, no secrets, no excuses. So today we are launching compliance reviews of providers and major healthcare systems to ensure that they give parents timely access to their children's information. In addition, our Office for Civil Rights has issued a letter reminding healthcare providers of their clear legal duty to give parents access to their children's medical records. If a provider stands between you and your child, HHS is going to step in. Let me be clear: schools and healthcare systems cannot sideline parents. If a provider ignores consent, violates an exemption, or keeps parents in the dark, HHS will act quickly and decisively. We will use every tool we have to protect families and restore accountability. The Vaccines for Children program must never become a workaround to bypass parents. We are reviewing how states and districts process exemptions to ensure the program follows the law, not the other way around. If you believe that your rights or your child's rights have been violated, then you can file a complaint with our Office for Civil Rights at hhs.gov/OCR/complaints. That's hhs.gov/OCR/complaints. Parents know their children best. Parents love their children the most, and HHS will always defend their voice, their authority, and their rightful place at the center of their children's healthcare decisions. Thank you very much.
Produced by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
So this is what they're also doing is, and by the way, I wanted to share that Sir Oliver said, parents, if your schools are doing this, get active and contact HHS. This is what this is. This is a lifeline for parents who are losing their parental rights. This is why I'm in Texas, because I lost my parental rights in California to choose whether or not my child would be vaccinated. And they took away our religious exemption. They took away our medical exemption. That's when I went live with Tyranny in the Storm, which is on Snedheads, by the way. 18 minutes long. I highly recommend you watch that. It's on Snedheads under Circa Sned on the left side of the feed. Let me just show you where you can find something like that. This is Snedheads with, by the way, this is the light mode. You can also go dark mode if the light screen is hard on your eyes. Go to Circa Sned videos, and here's my Tyranny in the Storm, which was May 22nd, 2019, talking about how they used the false flag in California Disneyland of measles, which they're doing in Texas, they're doing in all kinds of states, to force vaccinate all children. And this is when I said they're going to come for the adults next, and they're going to do the same thing. And 8 months later, COVID hit. So you can find that under Circa Sned videos. And of course, for those of you who don't know, there's some great research tools here. All the Q spots where you can find the Q drops, the capital letter counter, Grok, Ingersoll Lockwood, US debt clock. So open this up in the morning, and I tell you, you're not going to need to go anywhere else. And if you're on X, you can find my account. You can find Scavino's. You can find President Trump's Truth, his X account, the White House, and you can also find some of the top, I think, accounts on X right here on Snedheads. If you're not in X, you can see these accounts right here, and you'll see some of the stuff that I've already shared, right? So please check this out, all right? Some good stuff. Apple's AI chief steps down. Head of UI design leaves to Meta. Chief's policy steps down. Head of general counsel steps down. What's happening at Apple? This is all from Polymarket. Hepatitis B. I was just going to talk about that on the heels of RFK Jr. They are voting right now, and they've delayed the vote to tomorrow morning on whether to pause the Hep V vaccine for a month until the baby, grows a little bit, and then only do it if the mother tests positive for Hep B. Because it's ridiculous that they're giving, a vaccine to these infants. I'm sorry, I meant to take you here. This is the windows to the world, all the X posts that I recommend. And I'm going to put some new ones in here too. But this is, they're going to be, voting on this tomorrow morning as to whether or not they change the child's schedule of Hep B. And if they don't, I'm going to get after them. No show tomorrow night. Possibly Saturday. I'm not sure. So if so, it's going to be short. And so get in your, if you want to get on the wheel, please do so. And you'll be glad you did, because you're supporting great content and you're supporting this community. And if you want to join Snedheads, you can do that as well, just by going on to the upgrade Snedheads here, and you'll see the options. But you go up to add funds first, okay? Then you go down here to securely save your card for seamless payments. It'll take $1 off, and then it'll charge you $17 per month, or $170 for the year, which lowers it to like $14. And you put your credit card and all your information in here. Then you go back to upgrade, and then you choose whether you want the monthly or yearly, and it'll automatically charge your card that you put in on the other side. And if you want to do donation through this, you can click on this, and it'll take you straight to the Stripe account, where you can use any method of donation that you would like. So please do that, because this is fully financed by you, my listeners, and this community. And this is one of the few things that, certainly if you want to go, if you want to get something for that, for your money, instead of donate, you can also go and you can go to the trying to find it here. Go to the store, which is being elusive right now. Certainly Saint Solutions, if you need colloidal silver, Mysterium, which I put in my water, raises the frequency. Purple Pets, which I use for Jasper's ears. All good stuff there, folks. All good stuff. And then, of course, if you want to go to Sned Shop, .myshopify.com, snedshop.myshopify.com, you can do that as well. Let me put that up here differently. So yes, so please support us, and it is greatly appreciated, because you're not getting Israel money propaganda here. You're getting the truth and nothing but the truth. So help me God. And so this is, what we're seeing unfold here is just really, to me, it's magic, because it's just so important that we are seeing what's really going on. And 14 states won't even give the DOJ their voter data. 13 of 14 of them have Democrat governors, and it's also 21 states aren't giving over their SNAP information, and so President Trump is going to not give them federal funding. This is some more of the these people that are criminals that are listed as white. Look at this. White, 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 white. Folks, maybe I need new glasses, but this is what's going on and that's in New Jersey, by the way, what you're seeing there. Yeah, so yeah, all very important work here. This is from Patrick Ben David. Let me share this.
Rob, you had one of the charts that you had up a minute ago, which was phenomenal, showing who's getting entitlement benefits. Check this out. This is family receiving welfare. So purple is illegal headed households. Red is legal immigrants. Blue is U.S.-born headed households.
The people we want to give the welfare to.
People you
Citizens.
want to give it to. And when you look at this, cash, go with a food. Look at what food looks like. Illegal, 48%. Legal, 38%. That becomes what? That's 82%. Whatever that number is, a massive percentage of it is those two. Then you have the Americans. People see numbers like this. They're like, what am I doing with my tax pay? Why am I paying taxes? To support who? Rob, you had one of the charts that you had up a minute ago, which was phenomenal, showing who's getting entitlement benefits. Check this out. This is family receiving welfare. So purple is illegal headed household.
I mean, look at these numbers, folks. I wanted to show that again because look at these numbers. They're unbelievable. Let me make that a little bit bigger for you. Food, 48% illegal, 34% legal immigrant, and 25% U.S. born. In every category, they're smaller except housing. Okay. It's in any welfare, look at the numbers, 39% U.S. born. All right. we're paying for this, right? We're paying for all this. And if we don't change this, if we don't change this trajectory, I mean, we're losing our country without question. And that's what President Trump is talking about when he says he's stopping the poisoning of America. And look at the people who are trying to stop him from stopping exactly that. Okay. It's unbelievable. It's absolutely unbelievable. Okay, let me just I'm just checking for any newbies coming in tonight for the wheel. Linda Prasnick, giving you another spot on the wheel for putting up another $25 without question. And did I already have those up? No, I did not. Christopher Hunt, thank you for your $100 donation, by the way. Jeanette Sayer, $100 donation. Cynthia Latorno, $50. Gail Maserati, $100. You guys have no idea what that does, how it lifts me and gets me out of a situation. DGM Unlimited, $100. Thank you all very much for those large donations, and the rest of you are great donations. Julie Fackler, $50. You know, a lot at 17, Heather Willard at 40, Deborah Martin at 25. It goes a long way, folks. And, you know me, like I'm, literally, still haven't paid all the rent, for this month yet. And it's the 4th of December, just to give you an idea. I'm not getting rich off this. This is a labor of love, and I've always been very respectful of, what Q said. Beware those who profit from this movement. This is something that you can do if you're interested in crypto. You can open up a Kraken account. Moonbeam is dropping some of those links. What you do once you open up an account, which is free to open. If you invest $200 and buy any crypto in the first 14 days, you get $75. I get $75. We're creating $150 out of thin air. Even if you want to buy, sell that crypto back for dollars, you can do that after you do this. But it's free $75 in your pocket, and that's what Kraken's doing. So just follow the link and follow the instructions on how to make that happen, please. Okay, so let me now, what's going on in Ukraine is very interesting. Why is this war still happening? Why is it still going on? President Trump said, I thought it'd be easier because, my relationship with Putin, etc. Before we go there, let me take you to J6, because to me, this is a bigger story. Let me take you to J6. Let me show who the pipe bomber was. Here we go. Here's Jake Tapper.
Ryan Cole Jr., a 30-year-old white man from the
Hold on. 30-year-old white man.
DC
What were we just talking about? Hold on. Let me back that up so you can hear that again.
Ryan Cole Jr., a 30-year-old white man from the D.C. suburbs, is charged with transporting an explosive device in interstate commerce and with malicious destruction. Ryan Cole Jr., a 30-year-old white man from the D.C. suburbs, is charged with transporting an explosive.
Excuse me? Wow. Okay. The white MAGA racists are no longer, I guess, on the hook for that. Wow. Fascinating, Jake. Thank you, CNN, for your unbelievable breaking news there. Now, from Joshua Hall regarding the J6 story, call logs from the J6 pipe bomber Brian Cole reveal that he was in contact with the office of Speaker Nancy Pelosi multiple times on the morning of January 6, just minutes before and minutes after he allegedly planted the pipe bombs outside the DNC and RNC headquarters. We now know that he was not a Trump supporter or a part of MAGA, but a radical left Trump hater and Antifa anarchist. It's all coming out now. January 6th was an inside job completely set up by the deep state and the Democrats in a treasonous plot to destroy President Trump and all of those who supported him. Arrest Nancy Pelosi now. Do you really think that she's going to get away with this? Check this out. With
ever be a look
Don
back
Jr.
on the way perhaps your predecessors or other people in the FBI handled this to question those methods and motives? Again, the fact that it disappeared from the news basically the second January 6th happened and was never brought back up again, even in the months following. It seems odd, and I mean, it seems like something that people would want answers to. Will there be a review process on how this was conducted differently? How you guys could do this, 4 years later, and then 8 or 9 months, actually come up with a suspect versus the prior administration having 4 years, a more immediate timeline, being able to go right into it, having the immediacy of that, or even the fact that they just didn't care, doesn't that say so much about the weaponization of justice in America today?
Absolutely. And I think you're going to see it on parallel tracks. What you're going to see is as this case presents itself in court, you're going to see where we were able to collect the evidence and make the case against this suspect. And then common sense journalism and investigators are going to be able to look at it and say, why did these people do X, Y, and Z 4 or 5 years ago? That's going to make itself self-apparent. But what we're doing at this FBI is also, we have replaced this entire leadership cadre. We have pushed out 1,000 agents into the field. There's a reason this FBI has 25,000 violent offenders arrested this year alone. That's twice as many as last year. There's a reason that this FBI is going to deliver President Trump the lowest murder rate in modern history by double digits. There is a reason this FBI is out there crushing fentanyl, destroying narco traffickers, and making sure the homeland is safe and preventing spies from infiltrating our homeland and our way of life. That's what happens when you change leadership from the prior administration FBI, who wanted to weaponize and politicize law enforcement, to us, President Trump and the Attorney General, who want to just deliver law enforcement on every single front. And that's what we're doing. So you're going to see it in both lanes.
There you go. And by the way, what's the House doing right now? They're voting to try to extend Obamacare by 3 years. Meanwhile, Elizabeth McDonald just posted from Fox, the Government Accountability Office just uncovered rampant systemic fraud in Obamacare. $21 billion likely stolen just in 2023 alone. 21 billion stolen in 2023 alone. At least 58,000 dead people's Social Security numbers were used to get 94 million in Obamacare tax credits in just 2023 and 2024. Obamacare wrongly gave coverage to 99% of the GOA investigators' fake identities last year. They gave out coverage without requesting documents, made 190,000 unauthorized payouts, and more than 97,000 Social Security numbers were used to double dip for benefits. One fraudster got 71 years worth of coverage in a single year. Anyone in this audience a part of that? The shocking finding, the GAO says there's been no Obamacare anti-fraud strategy since 2018. CBO and CMS already confirmed Obamacare frauds. In 9 states, the number of signups at an Obamacare income level exceeded the number of eligible residents. While they're voting on this, this is what's going on. Okay. Roseanne Barr is suing Gavin Newsom for $100 million for the loss of her home, which was 2 blocks from the ocean. No water, really, you can't get, you can put a fire out with salt water, 2 blocks from the ocean, a block from the ocean, considered fireproof because of how accessible the water is. He made sure no trucks could use ocean water to save some fish, said Barr's attorney, Alex J. Barron. Meanwhile, my client's home was reduced to ashes. Okay. They're going after Newsom. Even Halle Berry turned on Gavin Newsom, saying he's not going to be around long, and talking about how he's treating women in California. Let me play this for you here.
But the opposite of that, back in my great state of California, my very own governor, Gavin Newsom, has vetoed our menopause bill, not 1, but 2 years in a row. But that's okay, because he's not going to be governor forever. And with the way he's overlooked women, half the population, by devaluing us in midlife, he probably should not be our next president either.
She's reading this. You see that, right?
Just saying. I need every woman in this country to fight with me. But the truth is, the fight isn't just for us women. We need men too. We need all of the leaders, every single one of you in this room. This fight needs you. But the opposite of that, back in.
So she's reading, and obviously, I don't think it's a plot or it's a conspiracy by any stretch of the imagination, but here's somebody that believes in something so much she has to read it off a teleprompter. I got a problem with that. So let me get back to the war. Because what's happening is Europe, and I showed you President Putin yesterday spoke out and said that Europe was trying to stop the peace process between Ukraine and Russia. Okay, and this is no accident, because there are skeletons in those closets. Listen to this.
Mr. Witkoff and Mr. Kushner, please allow me.
Let me set this up. This is the Alexander Dubinsky. He says Ukraine has 30,000 political prisoners, more than in Russia and Belarus combined. Parliament recently formed the multi-party group We Are for Peace to support Trump's peace plan, yet every MP who joined is now imprisoned or in exile. So the people that are joining President Trump's peace plan are being imprisoned or in exile. So let me tell you what.
Me to thank you for your continued efforts to achieve peace in Ukraine under the leadership of President Trump. Unfortunately, we must acknowledge that these efforts are.
Look at his hat. The red hat. It says, "Make Zelensky small again."
Constantly being sabotaged and undermined by the pro-war faction in Ukraine. Elites connected to Zelensky and the lobbying interests of the European military-industrial complex, who dominate the media space under the guise of wartime censorship. These elites attempt to disguise their desire to prolong a war where the poor die and the rich profit as the will of the people. In reality, this is a massive and grotesque disinformation campaign. Over 70% of Ukrainian citizens support immediate peace, but their voices are being suppressed by Zelensky's repressive apparatus, which uses torture, extrajudicial persecution, and prison sentences based on fabricated charges of treason. There are 30,000 political prisoners in Ukraine, more than in Russia and Belarus combined. A revealing example of this dark moment, the Ukrainian parliament recently established a multi-party group called We Are for Peace, whose aim is to support President Trump's peace plan. Yet every MP who joined this group is now either imprisoned or in exile. This demonstrates that any political stance in favor of peace in Ukraine is immediately met with persecution by the Zelensky regime. The marginalization of pro-peace voices is a deliberate strategy by Zelensky to sabotage any potential peace vote in parliament. That is why an essential step toward advancing the peace plan in Ukraine is to drop the fabricated treason charges against pro-peace MPs, bring them back to parliament, and begin building a pro-peace coalition in support of President Trump's initiative. This will send a clear message to other lawmakers that supporting peace is no longer a path to prison or exile. It will also signal to the Ukrainian public that peace is within reach, and that their voices will finally be heard and reflected in a national referendum to approve the terms of the peace plan.
And what we're seeing too is all the European leaders that are getting involved with this and trying to submarine President Trump's peace plan. It's quite obvious what's going on here, and that we need to understand that the European, this is from Amuse, okay, that the Europeans are doing everything in their power to keep this peace plan from happening, because that would give Trump access to what's really going on in Ukraine. This is Amuse, who I highly recommend you follow, at Amuse on X. Ukraine, leaked call shows EU leaders fighting to block Trump's peace talks. Merz, Macron, Stubb, and Rutte all pressured Zelensky to avoid any U.S. brokered deal. Europe is 100% against peace because they want the war to drag on. Der Spiegel obtained notes from a confidential December 1 call where top EU leaders demanded Ukraine ignore the Trump administration's fast-moving peace talks. Germany's Merz warned the Americans are playing games. Macron called a potential U.S. deal a great danger. Finland's Stubb said we must not leave Ukraine alone with these guys. And NATO's Rutte urged we have to protect Vladimir. Every quote confirms Europe wants continued conflict until Russia is defeated, not an immediate settlement. Their posture is anti-peace to the core. Yeah, this is happening, my friends. This is like, this is why President Trump hasn't been able to end this war, is because of what these games that they're playing. Now, let me just say one last time before we go to. I'm going to go to the wheel spin here very shortly. So if you want to get your name on the wheel, please do so. And you'll also find the link in the chat of where you can do it directly with a credit card. And so thank you all who have donated and made this, a special show that it is. And I'm dropping that link in the chat on YouTube, and I'm dropping it in Rumble. And thank you guys for doing that. And also put it on X underneath the post on X. Folks, let's change the way things are being done. Let's break our addiction to free, because it ain't free. These platforms are making over $200 a year from your private information, from your listening, tracking you. And now that AI is there, man, oh man, privacy is freedom, and you get privacy on Snedheads, and you get real information from this podcast. So thank you for those of you who are keeping us afloat, so that I can continue to give this away for free to the people that are not able to pay every night or every month or every year. Okay. Okay. So the last thing I want to take you to before the wheel spin is Candace Owens has challenged Turning Point USA to a debate. Turning Point USA said from Blake Neff, the live stream we announced on the show Wednesday has been set at 4 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. local time on Monday, December 5th. A collection of Charlie's friends will respond to statements made by real Candace O to set the record straight once and for all prior to the opening of America Fest. We will be live streaming from Charlie's Phoenix studio. Our offer from yesterday holds. If Candace wishes to join us in person in Phoenix, she is welcome to do so. She can let us know by the end of today. Julian's Rum said, why have you set a date and time without even working with Candace on scheduling? Why does she have to be in person? If the live stream is in 11 days, why does she have to agree to these dumbass terms today? And then Candace said, kind of weird how you didn't email or call me to ask about times or availability and chose to instead tweet this confirmation out at midnight. Why am I learning about this on X? December 15th does not work in person, and 2 p.m. Pacific time is also literal time I do my podcast live every day, which you knew. But we will happily cancel the daily podcast and will join you guys virtually instead for the live stream on the 15th, if that works on your end. Let's lock it in. I think they've come back and said, no, it's got to be in person. Oh, here it is. Yesterday, we made it clear that we would be scheduling a formal response to the allegations and accusations you have made. We've decided that response will be delivered during a live stream on December 15th. Thank you for your response, letting us know you will not be joining the in-person conversation. We will be proceeding without you. See, that's not an invitation, okay? And she's exposing Turning Point USA without question. He's the producer of the Charlie Kirk show, by the way, Blake Neff. And Candace is the only one asking like real questions here about the Charlie Kirk murder. I mean, I am too, but you know my take on that whole thing. And I don't spend much time on it because I think the narrative that is being played out is absolutely necessary for us to take out the Soros financing mechanism that has permeated our country, and also because there's so many holes in that one that we know that. Let me see. Hold on one sec. We know that. Give me 1 sec. I need to add somebody to the wheel. Excuse me. We know that people are questioning Israel and the connection there. And now people are absolutely challenging that narrative, and also challenging Turning Point USA. So very, very troubling times around that whole thing. And it's not a real, it's not a real invitation, right? All right, my friends, let's get to the wheel, and then I'm gonna close up shop here for the evening. Thanks for all your great comments. Thanks for those that, Moonbeam says that's railroading. Absolutely, that's a great way to put it, Moonbeam. Absolutely, without question. So let's go to the wheel, my friends. Here we go. Here is the wheel. Let me make it a little bit bigger for you. And let me go down these fabulous, fabulous people. Christopher Hunt, Edward Quinn, Jeanette Sayer, Cynthia Latorno, Catherine Reeves, Gail Maserati, DGM Unlimited, Deborah Martin, Steve Fothergill, Heather Willard, CR Partners, Michael Janis, Catherine Drexler, DOT Truck Sales, Farhad, Karen Billick, Julie Fackler, Patsy Abbott, Linda Prasnick, Helen Overton, Phil Dans, Lisa Reyes, John Valance Jr., Jacqueline Pluthard, Williamson Painting, Jessica and Thomas Green, Deanna Harriet, Charles Driscoll, Mary Bradley, Bridget Graham, Deborah Short, Linda Prasnick, Patricia Silva Duran, and Joy 107. So thank you, my friends. Let's spin the wheel. Are you ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. For a free year of snedheads.com, $170 value, and a free t-shirt. And here we go. Michael Janis, Catherine Drexler, DOT Truck Sales. All right, my friend, we got to get you, and we got to get you a hat for your store. Farhad, thank you, my friend. Long-time listener, consistent donations. Thank you very much. Thank you all who played. I feel like I am in Jeopardy. It's a little easier than Jeopardy. You don't have to answer questions. How great. Yeah. Congrats. Awesome. Yeah, it couldn't go to a better man. I'll tell you that right now. So, very, very cool. Very, very cool. So my friends, and thank you for all of you who didn't win this time around, but you won because you're supporting this incredible community. You're supporting this show. You're supporting my time. You're supporting me listening to NPR. Okay. Which is really difficult. Okay. And I just really love you all for the support. And so no show tomorrow night. I'll see about Saturday, but probably no show Saturday either, but I will be in touch. So please look out for my notification on snedheads.com and on X and on Telegram for my notifications, my friends. Obviously, Rumble and YouTube, I can't give you notifications there. You only get notifications when I go live. Some of you a day late, $1 short. So yeah. So great. Thank you, my friends. The trajectory is beautiful. I'm looking forward to every day that goes by because something new is dropping every single day, and justice is imminent because the transparency and accountability are coming first. I love you. Be well. Have a great Thursday night, a great Friday tomorrow, and weekend, and do something for yourself. Take care of yourself. Do something fun for you because, you guys are all paying attention. You're all really knowledgeable about what's going on. You're all really engaged in this process like Q asked us to be. And I'm proud of you for that. But we got to take a step back from all the noise too, and really take care of ourselves and love one another. Spend some time with some beautiful people. I'll be spending time with my daughter. I'll be spending time with a dear friend whose birthday it is tomorrow night. So I'm looking forward to the weekend, getting ready for Christmas, and I'm grateful for you all, and I want you to take care of yourself, and let's all do the same. Yeah. All right. Be well. Good night.